Yeah, hello and welcome to my today's video about the Benro S8 head you can see here. To be precise, this is not a review, it's more like of a summary of hints and of the limitations of the S8 head. So if you want to see a review, just check out the other YouTube videos. Why am I making this? Because I have this Benro S8 head now for about 2-3 months or so, and I used it multiple times and I found a few limitations. Also, other people reported to me a few limitations, and I also read about a few limitations in online communities, so I thought, why not make a summary video about it, so everyone out there who's interested in buying a new head knows about these points before even considering buying it. Well, as always, let's start with buying Benro stuff. Always buy locally. Always buy only at authorized dealers, because otherwise you don't get the full 5-year warranty. For example, in the US you get a 3 + 2 year warranty, 2 years after registration. In Europe you get 5 years from scratch on. It's also possible to get replacement parts over the official dealers. And for example, even if the head is damaged on delivery, for example, from scratch on, you also get it way faster replaced, and you also don't have any problems with import VAT, import fees, the import duties in general, shipment costs, and so on and so on. Yeah, this is the first point. The second point, as always, if you plan to buy a Benro head, always also order a replacement plate, because the original plate is again very of a very low quality, and it's also not sliding that easily on the head, and it's also not as easy to slide it inside or onto the plate, onto the QR system, or in the QR system. I mean, it's possible, and you can live with it, but also if you plan to readjust your rig or your camera on the head, yeah, it's always a little bit of a pain, because the coating is not as nice. And for example, I'm using this 501P long, $20 or $30 or so, including shipment, replacement plate, and it's sliding way easier, and it's also not damaging the head, and the head is also looking longer, like new. As you can see, I used it multiple times with this plate, and yeah, it's still like new. And by the way, also very important is that, for example, some people reported that with replacement plates, especially, the side knob is pointing upwards. This is not a problem. If you have this situation, just pull it out, as you can see here, and reposition it. For example, I'm always repositioning it, that it's in this position, locked down, because you open it up downwards, slide it in, slide it out, whatever, and lock it down again if you need to. So this is the second important hint. If you plan to buy a Benro S4, S6 or S8, especially S6 and S8, because they are the most interesting one, always also order a replacement plate. Yeah. The next point I wanted to talk about is the limitation according the dampening. I mean, it's not a new head, it's like a bigger brother of the S6 head. Yeah, it's also the S series, or it's also placed within the S series, so more or less the value series from Benro. But the problem is that, as you can see sideways or at the side, this is like with the S6 head, this side more or less only a little bit bigger, and also that side is more or less the same. The problem is that this head is still a friction-based head. So, for example, you have 2 plates which are pressing against each other with a little bit of grease inside, and if you apply more force in between the 2 plates, you're getting more drag. And the problem is, here it's the same like with the S6 head, the drag strength is limited. Even if you lock it down completely, the problem is, for example, although this head is specified up to 8 kilograms, I don't recommend to use it over 5, maybe max 6 kilograms, because the drag is the same like on the S6 head. I mean, the S6 I recommended to about 4 or 5 kilograms, because the counterbalance was also quite weak on the highest step, but here the problem is the drag is too weak. So when is this head maybe usable up to 8 kilograms, or when it is an option for you at all? If you absolutely don't have the money and the time, for example, to save money for a bigger head, if you really need one now, or if you need, for example, the head to put a chip or a crane on it, because for that purpose it's really nice. Also really nice is because horizontally you now also get this drag control ring. It's also nice on a slider, for example, because you can control the stiffness or the drag of the panning, so the horizontal movement, more precise, because the S6 yeah, is a little bit on the weaker side, and here you can, and it's not even possible with the S6, and here with the S8 you can control it. But keep in mind, this ring has a control range of a few degrees, because this is max, for example, this is the lowest setting, and don't ask me why they made it that way, or why they didn't make the thread a little bit finer. But yeah, keep in mind that you need maybe a little bit time to search the perfect point, because as said, you only have a few degrees of control. This is also a little bit of a limitation and a letdown, but at least, for example, on a slider where the tilting isn't that important, the panning is really nice and usable. But, and here we come to the next limitation, and this is the point why I primarily recommend it for cranes and chips, for example, only, because you still only get 3 + 0, the 0 is here, 3 + 0 steps of counterbalance. The problem is with the S6 head, for example, yeah, I searched a little bit, and a few dealers are declaring the S6 with 0 to I think 4 and 6 kilograms or so, or 4.5 and 6 kilograms, which is nice because at least a few dealers declare it at 50 millimeter COG, and I also think it's at 50 millimeter COG center of gravity, so 50 millimeters above the head, or the X of the head. And the problem is, for example, or with the huge pro of the S6 is, for example, in comparison, although it's basically the same, that, for example, with the first step, you're starting at around 2 kilograms, and 2 kilograms you're reaching quite easily. For example, you have a small base plate, you have 2 rods, a follow focus, monitor, and your DSLR, which is a basic setup, and you're already at 2 kilograms or a little bit above. But the problem is here, because it has a payload range of 0 to 8 kilograms, with officially 0, 2.5, 5 and 8 kilograms. Yeah, the first step is already too high. To be precise, the first step with 2.5 kilograms, it's not at 50 millimeters, I think, and I asked Benro about it, and yeah, even the official Benro support didn't know if it's at 75, 100 or 50 millimeters COG, but I think the 2.5 kilograms with the first step are at 75 millimeters, which means at 50, which is comparable to the declaration of the S6 head, you are around 3 or 3.5 kilograms. And this a YouTuber told me, because he had huge problems balancing out the S8 head at the first step. He had already all the parts I mentioned, a follow focus, lens, DSLR, base plate and monitor, and the first step was still too strong. And this is a huge problem, because with 3.5 kilograms at 50 millimeters center of gravity, so 50 millimeters above the X of the head, it's just too strong. So this head is not usable with more lightweight setups. For example, from 0 to 1 kilograms, you can use the 0 setting, yeah, with the max drag, which is possible vertically wise, tilting wise. But let's say you have a setup in between 1 kilogram and 3 kilograms, and you want to have a setup or the head balanced out properly, so it's staying in every position you want to have it, or you want it to stay. This is not possible here. From 1 to 3 kilograms, it's not possible to use this head, more or less. So if you really plan to use this head, to get a head, which is also planned to be used with more lightweight setups, get the S6. The S6 is smaller, it's more lightweight, it's cheaper. Yeah, you don't get the horizontal panning control, drag control, but I mean, what's the use of a head which isn't usable for your or with your setups? Also keep in mind, you only get 0 plus 3 steps. This means the steps are, or the weight difference in between the spring steps is very, very big. From 2 up to, or 2.5 up to 5 kilograms. I mean, 2.5 kilograms, this is a huge step, or 3 kilograms, for example, in between the step 2 and step 3. The problem is, normally you dial in more drag, or you're using a higher drag setting to compensate in between the steps. But here, because it's the same system like on the S6 head, and the system is too weak already for higher payloads, it's not possible to compensate this. So you always need to add something, to remove something from your camera, from your rig, to your rig. So you're matching more of the special steps of the counterbalance. And this is a huge, huge letdown. By the way, also keep in mind, this head is still, as already mentioned, a friction-based head. So it's not comparable to bigger heads like the Zechler Ace heads, although I only recommend the Ace L because it's overall better. But this is another story. I also plan to make a video about the Ace L, by the way. It's also not comparable to any other head from Vinton, from Cartoni, from, I don't know, even from E-Image, because E-Image, for example, is also offering quite cheap fluid-based heads, real fluid-based heads. And normally these heads are using, for example, cartridges inside, oil cartridges or so, or grease cartridges, which always deliver a constant drag. And this is, for example, the point why you can switch in between drag settings. You're switching in between these cartridges. And with the friction-based heads, you never get the same performance. Yeah, this is also a huge limitation. Another hint which is important, this head is only coming as a flat base head. Even in a kit with a 75mm tripod and 75mm tripod base, you always get an adapter. This is not the Benro adapter, this is a Manfrotto 520 ball I already had lying around with 3 grub screws to lock it down. So if you want to use the head on a slider or so, you just need to remove the half-ball adapter, which is included in the kit, and you're ready to go again. Which is also quite nice. As mentioned already, on a slider it's usable because you also have, or you also get the fine adjustable drag control for the panning, and you're primarily panning on sliders because it's already a challenge to make smooth movements in 2 axes. On the slider and with the panning. But it's nice, for example, if you, let's say you get a kit, you can remove the half-ball adapter, put the slider on the half-ball adapter, put the head on the slider, and you're ready to shoot again. And you still get the option, or you still have the option to level out your head and the slider together with the half-ball adapter. So this is, for such a purpose, it's quite nice. But as said already, and I'm mentioning again, it's not a universal head, it's not a real fluid head, and I don't know if I'm keeping this because, yeah, it's just too limited, because I also want to use more lightweight setups on a tripod. Yeah, okay, these are the limitations, which are quite huge. I also want to mention a few alternatives. For example, the already mentioned Ace heads. I'm not a fan of the Ace M because the drag is too weak and the payload is also a little bit too limited. Plus, I had 2 Ace M heads, one by my own, one I borrowed or tested out in a shop, and both had setbacks, which isn't the case anymore with the Ace L. So if you plan to get an Ace head, always get the L. Higher payload, illuminated bubble, you also get more counterbalance steps, a better drag system because the drag is a little bit stiffer, which is nice, and so on. So yeah, Ace L, if you plan to get an Ace head, they are starting at around 900, 950, 1,000 bucks. I mean, I know not cheap, but I think the Ace L, yeah, you only get with carbon fiber legs, so you also get a better kit, a leg kit, because the Ace M legs are also a mess. Also an alternative, and I'm getting cheaper and cheaper, the Cartoni, the new Cartoni Smart Pro head, which is usable up to 6.5, 7.5, whatever, at 50 millimeters center of gravity. So it's about the strength of this S8 head. The Ace L is not on the same level because it only goes to about 6 kilograms at 55 millimeters center of gravity. So it's a little bit weaker, but the Smart Pro is stronger. You even get the same warranty time, so for I think 5 or 6 years too. And you also get, and this is quite nice with the Smart Pro, you also get stepless counterbalance, stepless drag, and the tripods are also of a very high quality from Cartoni. So this the smallest Smart Pro H548 head kit you get for about 800 bucks. So yeah, it's quite affordable for a professional head kit, and you can really balance out the head perfectly. With the Ace L, it's also possible because you have 7 drag steps, not drag steps, counterbalance steps, not only 4 like here, or you get 8, 0 plus 7, and here only 0 plus 3. But the Smart Pro is really one of the heads I maybe also test out or I also plan to test out in the future. I had the Focus HD already, and I can tell you the quality is really nice. Another alternative is maybe the Chanting series from E-Image, which came out 2014. And I heard and read about that they are also quite nice. I mean, it's always quite hard to tell you or to believe such commands, because if you don't have something to compare, or if you don't know that much heads, it's always a little bit yeah, non-objective. Yeah, the Chanting series, for example, the GH06, it's even stronger, I think, than the S8 head. It comes with a real fluid system, so with cartridges, I think 3 or 4, no, I think 3 steps. The GH10 has then 5 steps of drag control, but you also get 5 steps plus 0 of counterbalance control, so you also get a better counterbalance system. And for example, the kit is about the price of the S8 head. So maybe try it out. If you try it out, report back if you like it or not. Payload, as said, even higher than with the S8 head, but with more drag steps. And you get the kit, I think, for about 550 or 600 bucks. So you now have 3 alternatives with 600, 800, and about 1,000 bucks. Just save a little bit more money, and I think it's better, even better, to get the E-Image than the S8. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you know now is the head yeah, suitable for your needs or not. Subscribe if you like. There are coming many other videos, or there are at least planned many other videos. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Bye.